This is the Monoprice Select Mini V2. The Mini V2 is a cantilever-style Cartesian machine with a 120 by 120 by 120 millimeter build volume. It has a heated bed with a build tack-like sheet on top, a Bowden MK8 style extruder setup, a split hot end and part cooling fan. It has a sturdy steel construction and a nice looking color display. This printer is pretty much ready to go right out of the box. Slap a spool holder on, level the bed, and start printing. I usually do unboxing or build videos on all my machines, but my wife gave me this printer for Christmas. So one, it was Christmas and I couldn't wait to get it out of the box, and two, there really wasn't much to it. But let me reenact that process for you now. You take the printer out of the box and you remove the foam packing. Then you take the power supply and all the accessories out of their boxes. You take the tape off the hot end carriage. You plug the printer in, turn it on. You slide the spool holder on one side. Scroll to monitor. Hit start preheat. Hit home axis. When the preheat's done, turn off the machine. Grab a piece of paper and the Allen wrench they give you and level the bed. Turn the machine back on. Go back to monitor. Start the preheat again. Load the sample filament they gave you. Load your SD card. Go to print. Print MoneyCat. Wait for MoneyCat to finish. Now remove MoneyCat. Now play with MoneyCat. So far, I'm very satisfied with this printer. It takes very little to get it up and going. For $200 US, it'd make a great first printer for anyone. I think a lot of the low-cost kits turn people off with the assembly or the fiddly things you have to do to get it up and going. This machine seems to take care of all that. This would be a great choice for a younger person starting out, especially. So aside from the solid construction, the price, and the easy setup, there are a few other nice features worth mentioning. If you've seen some of my other videos, you know I'm not the easiest person on a build surface, but whatever they made this surface out of seems to be unbreakable. I have pulled off some prints that were way too stuck to the sheet, and I thought I was going to rip it, but no, it still holds tight. If I remember correctly, I think this is the longest lasting build tack type sheet I have ever had. The screen is also nice. It's clear and it has great color. The printer comes with a sealed power brick. That's always nice to see. Keep everyone safe. The hot end is an E3D clone, but so far no trouble out of it, no jams or clogs. Also, whatever firmware they might be using has accepted all of the Marlin commands that I know, including M600 filament change. So what are the drawbacks to this machine? The biggest one that I can see is the split hot end and part fan. You're probably okay with it for PLA and PET, it can just run all the time. You should always have some hot end cooling to keep it from jamming, but there are times when you don't want a part fan, like printing ABS. While on the topic of ABS, the manufacturer does suggest that the maximum bed temperature on this machine is 60 C. That's really a little too cool for printing ABS. While you can push it over 60 C with G-code commands, I don't know how far I'd go. You might let the smoke out. So for most users, you're going to stick with PLA and PET on this one. The control screen does look really cool, but it doesn't have a lot of options on it. Personally, I like a few more buttons to fiddle with. The printer does come with Wi-Fi connectivity, but with that said, it's pretty much useless. It takes about 20 minutes to upload Benchy G-code, and after that, the G-code has been cached, so when the print's done, it disappears. You can send G-code commands through the web UI on this machine, so you might be able to make that interface speed up a little bit. But the printer does work well with Octoprint. The small build volume on this machine is also something to consider. Depending on what you're using it for, 120 millimeters can be pretty tight. And when the hot end is heating, the temperature can swing greatly. But the good news is, PID auto-tune features work with this firmware. Here's what the main board for this printer looks like. This board actually runs on an ARM processor. 32-bit is always cool. It's very small and compact, steppers can't be adjusted. It does come with a board cooling fan. You don't get a copy of this firmware that you can play around with, but the company still does put out updated firmware packages that you can install. The Z stepper motor also appears to be some smaller type. The Z-axis does move fairly slowly. Monoprice does appear to offer some type of online support on these machines, although I haven't had any experience with it yet. Now on to the important part. How does this thing print? I'd say not too bad as a whole. You do have to set the retraction setting a little high to get decent prints, but everything came out pretty well. I printed a couple of these crescent vase models. It's pretty smooth. You can see slight banding, but not bad at all. I created this model to show pretty much the most you can get out of the X and Y axes. You might be able to get a little more out of the Y, but that's pretty much it. This is a benchy that I printed before enabling retraction settings. This is at 210C PLA filament. And this is what the benchy looks like with a retraction setting of 4.5 millimeters at 40 millimeters a second. Much improved. I ran some PET through it as kind of a fill in the gap for ABS. The benchy looks a little messy, but the benchy is actually pretty difficult for PET, I would say. Still not too bad. A little blobbing, a little stringing. I'm not sure why, but I also really like how these low poly bowls turn out. And of course I wanted to try a mini Joelbot. So let's recap. If you're just getting into 3D printing, or maybe you need a low-cost, small footprint, super portable machine, in my opinion, bang for the buck, this is probably one of the best machines that I've used. Just the quick setup to print time is worth the money alone. It's super sturdy, it's got a power brick, it's got a built-in spool holder, and it's easy to use. The only thing this thing is missing is a suitcase handle on top so you can lug it around. Now this machine is not for everyone. The small build size will limit you, and you're not going to be able to print every filament that's out there, but it's definitely worth a look, even if it was just a backup to your main 3D printer. I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, please give it a thumbs up or consider subscribing to my channel. If not, leave your thoughts below, and as always, thanks for watching.